everybody and anybody in this room who wishes to pursue a creative stream of life, creative stream of thinking, that you cannot be easy on yourself. If you're going to be easy on yourself, at the end of it, you're going to have nothing to show for it. It's just going to be, you might probably win a lot of awards, you might probably make a lot of money, you might be in the people's list of who's who, but as a human being, when you look back upon your own life, or every day when you look at your own life, are you going to ask yourself, did I do right by myself? Or did I do right because the world expected me to do right in a certain way? And given the choice between individual worth and societal worth, I have always maintained that individual worth is more important. And that again is a leitmotif of all of my works, where I always believe in the contest between individual and society. The individual has to prevail, because unless you are a happy individual, you cannot make people around you happy, and you're going to have a society of malcontents. The other thing that I've always wanted to dwell upon when I talk about my work is the importance of research. Very often we assume that creative expression is just about imagination and perseverance. Creative work is about that, definitely, but there is something else which is going to benefit the writing immensely, is being able to understand the subject that you're writing about. So whether you're writing about 17th century trade in India, in southern India, very specific, or if you're writing about Kathakali, or you're writing about travel in a train, or whether you're writing about a murder mystery, or you're writing about cyclones, it's important to know what you're writing about. Because I think for me, the way I have written is that I have an idea, okay, but I also need to hinge that idea to something. And that is where the metaphor comes into play. When I have found a suitable metaphor to locate my book within, then I know I can start work on that book. So for a while, for instance, when I was, thinking about lessons in forgetting, I was wondering, what is it that I was going to locate my metaphor on? And at that point, I had lunch with somebody who had just finished working on a National Geographic film about cyclones. And she was just mentioning it to me very casually. And then I remembered the high school geography I had done. And I went back and I started looking at it, and I suddenly knew that this is what I wanted exactly. This was the metaphor that I was going to use. Or similarly, in Ladies Coupe, I remember that I was thinking about, what am I going to be using as a metaphor for a particular story. And I just remembered something about, this is an aside. Whenever you're, stuck for ideas, just pick up the dictionary and look through it. You'll always find something. I know it's what people did with Ramayana and Bible and stuff like that. They would look for solutions and open a page, and you look at the sixth page, sixth paragraph, and you think you found a solution. But I found that in the dictionary. I would just look through it, and I remember looking at this word vitriol and thinking, oh yes, vitriol is sulfuric acid. And thinking, oh, why not I make my teacher a chemistry teacher? Because vitriol is such a beautiful word as compared to, say, sulfuric acid. And so, you find metaphors in the strangest of places. Or when I was working on Idris, for instance, I knew nothing about diamond mining, but I started reading up about it, the way it was mined in Golconda region. And suddenly I had a metaphor again, that here was something that about what it required, and ultimately it has no value unless it's polished. The diamond is just a diamond, and it needs a person, a diamond cutter, to bring out the facets and so on, and to make it valuable. So I think research is something that is very integral to me as a person in the kind of writing I do. And that has also helped me create the kind of characters that I have created, create the kind of, and add heft to the kind of stories that I have written. At the end of it all, when I look at it and I ask myself, would I have lived my life differently? Yes, there are many things. In fact, when I was driving through and I was watching all the students here and so on, I really did wish that I had spent a little more time in college instead of running away. But if I were to would I rewrite any of my books? No, I wouldn't do that, because I think that was one area where I have never been more certain about what I've written than, I'm not certain about the choices I've made in my personal life, about the choices I've made in my professional life, but as far as the choices I've made in choosing the books to write about, I am very certain that I did what I did was right for me. And that we are all gathered in the room here is a kind of validation for me that obviously that I've got something right, at least, yeah, I think now maybe what I would really like to do is answer if there are questions more than actually to stand here and expound, because that is probably the more interesting part, where we can actually, discuss rather than me stand here and pontificate about life and literature, So thank you very much, and thank you very much, Madras Christian College English Language Department. This has been a splendid morning for me, and I'm extremely happy that I was invited, and I'm very happy that I've had such a wonderful morning here. Every element of it has been spectacular. And yes, I'll be very happy to answer if there are any questions.
Thank you, ma'am, for offering experiential knowledge. It was like listening to the stages of a butterfly with hearts fluttering to understand the truth about negating that transforms life and situations into artistic expressions. Above all this, we could see the true human being with genuine concerns in the great youth. Thank you so much. Friends, the floor is now open for discussion, and we have another accomplished critic on film studies, Dr. Aisha Iqbal, who with her valuable experiences will initiate and moderate the proceedings. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. And thank you, Anita. And it was really wonderful listening to you going through your such a vast and such a fascinating journey of being a creative writer. A couple of thoughts that come into mind while she was talking. A sense of unbelongingness. Many a time it is considered a negative, but I think in today's world it's so necessary to have a sense of not belonging but to unbelong. Yeah. Also, she raised a couple of issues about, she gave examples from her own situation about how she got her name, and she brought in a number of ideas about language, identities, caste, and how it's so important to negate the self in order to absorb and to learn. So I think that's what we all need to ponder over. And some excellent ideas on creative processes, and especially the word she used, the creative unconscious process. It brought to mind, I mean, all of us are students of literature, so Coleridge's definition of fancy and imagination, if you could relate these ideas to. So I would like to now throw the floor open for some questions. against that backdrop of whatever she said and whatever Dr. Pramila Paul so eloquently put and introduced such an important body of work of Anita Nayas to us, some of us who may not be unfortunately familiar with Anita Nayas' work, but you gave an excellent entry point to her work. So we thank you so much. We thank you and we thank you. Okay. So I invite all of you to please. Yeah. I don't know. Yes, please.
Sometimes when you translate a text, the translation will become very popular, and the original text, okay, will not be highlighted. But I'm talking about the introduction of the author. Professor Pramila Paul, it's only not a question, it's only my observation. This is the way to introduce a writer. We can see this kind of introduction only in the UP when Derrida is introduced or when Paul Devon is introduced. The first time in India, I can see a quality introduction about a writer who deserves much. So in that way, but Anita Nayar also disproved my statement in the sense, she also proved the original is also very, very important. In that way, I also congratulate Anita Nayar. Thanks so much.
Questions, please. Yeah, students, I would like to hear your voice.
The chemistry teacher. Is it possible to get such an idea like overfeeding someone and killing? Because that particular character, the chemistry teacher, she wants to kill her husband. And she adopts a novel way of doing it. And the Ebenezer, he is very much interested in eating. He is a kind of a glutton. So what this lady does is, she overfeeds him and he dies. And when I read this now, I was really shocked and I shared it with my wife. And whenever there is a petty quarrel at home now, whenever there is a petty quarrel at home, she says, "Ene Margaret Sandhya Matirada."
Okay, one small clarification. He doesn't die actually, but he just becomes he just becomes heavy, obese. So he loses that edginess that he had, where he used to manipulate her, and that superior condescension that he had. He loses that and becomes a more amiable being. Is it possible to get an idea like that? I don't know. I mean, I always, you tell everybody, in the acknowledgements of Thomas Harris's Hannibal, the Hannibal Lecter's series, he has this long list of acknowledgements where he says, this person helped me with this research, blah, 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 blah. At the end of it, he says, and the evil is all mine. So that is all I said, evil is all mine.
Anyone else? Yeah.
The formal education in Malayalam that you told you have been in Chennai at the age still 18. And what do you find difficulties while you translate the work Chemmeen from English, the Malayalam to English?
In Chennai, I didn't have a formal education in Malayalam. I read Malayalam. I can't write it because I taught myself to read it. Like I can read Tamil, I can't write Tamil either. So the problem was, the biggest problem I had was with the dialect. So the dialect used in Chemmeen is from Alappuzha region, which is also the fisherman's dialect. So what I realized was that if I were to read it, the translation wasn't happening so easily. So what I did was I had it read out to me. I had the translation read out to me, and it was important that the person reading out the translation to me read it in a flat voice. Because if they start bringing in, nuances and emotions, etc., that's going to affect my way of thinking. So my secretary at that point was somebody who just read, she knew Malayalam, and she just read it in a flat tone, like, like a news reader would be reading it, that kind of thing. So that helped me, and I lived in Kerala for 2 years, but I spent a lot of time in Kerala because my family is still there. So I speak Malayalam very fluently. Again, like my Tamil, I cannot speak literary, flowery Malayalam, but I speak colloquial Malayalam very well. So comprehension is not a problem at all for me.
Anyone?
Do you find that before the Chemin's translation, before your translation, what do you find difficulties in that work, and what made you to translate the Chemin work? Like, is there any background like the PK and the Nayar?
Yeah, okay, I'll tell you. Right, so the thing is, I didn't want to translate actually Chemin at first. I wanted, so while I was researching this novel called Mistress, I had stumbled upon this beautiful text called Nala Charitam, which is a classic literature piece in Malayalam. It's also a performance piece. And I wanted to translate that, but that was in verse. So I was talking to my publisher about translating that, and she said, before you attempt something so huge, why don't you try doing a novel? And I said, which one? And she said, okay, do you want to look at Chemin? So I said, okay, I'll do that. I'd only seen the film until then. I hadn't read the translation either, the English translation either. And then she said, don't read the English translation. Just look at the Malayalam text and start work on that. So then I got the Malayalam text and I told her, let me give it a shot. Let me give, work on a chapter. If I think it's working, then I'll carry it forward. Otherwise, I won't do it. So I worked on the translation. I did a